Everyone, I am Al, the Clack Shack AI announcer. We would like to welcome you to our Sunday Night Live. On the live, we discuss technology and machines that we use and test on our channels. We are proud to be a part of such a great community and enjoy the time to answer questions. Please feel free to participate in the live chat with any questions you may have. As always, hit the like button and remember to subscribe. Welcome your hosts, Clack from the Clack Shack and Steve from Ventori's Workshop. Now, let's get the show started.
That's awesome. Oh, I couldn't help it, guys. I couldn't help it. I could not help it. Where'd you go, Steve? Why are you hiding? Oh,
Uh,
hello, everybody. Yeah, I've been playing. I've been playing online. I got a little caught up today. Got bored, and I made that. So, I just felt like me and Steve needed an announcer, and I don't have any money to hire anybody or pay anybody. So, I used what I had, a little bit of video editing and some AI software.
that about that
Steve,
about sums it up right there.
you missed one, Steve.
Hey,
Steve, how's it been going at your shop today with the pest control stuff?
well, I was out here working on two machines. I was working on the doing a project on the Gemitsu CNC, and then playing around with this X-Tool F1, and those crickets are annoying, and so. I was moving things. I was moving like rolling toolboxes and stacks of 2x4, 2x6 stuff, and I cut up an old board that was laying on the corner of the ground, just making a mess. And I think I found a good five in there. I know I got about 10 of them out of here, but
So what
yeah,
you're
there's
saying? So what you're saying is you have at least apparently six crickets because I still hear one that you
yeah,
haven't you
yeah,
haven't
I
you haven't
know.
vanquished him yet.
Yeah, well, I only made it around about maybe a third of the perimeter. So yeah, there's still probably a handful, but and while I had the doors open, there I got attacked by a wasp too. So he's angrily hanging out in the bag of my dust collector right now. So
Well, if anybody knows a good trick for catching crickets, maybe like what kind of bait do they like to get caught, or what kind of pest control Steve needs, y'all can message him. And if anybody's in the Minnesota area planning a fishing trip, you don't have any crickets, I'm sure he would allow you to come over and catch a few.
the I have no worries that they will be gone in a matter of weeks. So we have some excellent pest control called Winter, and they will be silent at that point.
Well, I'm going to make fun of you, but it doesn't get cold enough around here to kill crickets. We have to contend with them like pretty much year round. So, luckily, that little stuff I got, that spray jug over there, does a pretty good job. About everything but spiders and scorpions. I have a whole separate spray for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
the cats are pretty good about getting rid of most things. I have found though, luckily for George, that cats apparently do not like messing with toads. Because George has recruited some help, and you can go out like on the porch after it gets dark, and there'll be three or four of those toads out there. I can't even tell which one's George anymore. Um, and they'll be out there eating those moths and stuff. And I don't know if George eats crickets, but I'm sure he would. Steve, there he is. I hear him. You should make a video of cricket. Steve on safari hunting for crickets.
yeah, no.
You get you one of those little safari hats, a little crabbing net or something.
Uh, yeah, no. It's getting to the corners where it's gonna be like really. I mean, if I have to move this stuff behind me, um, yeah, that's it's gonna be an exercise. So we'll see. I hear the home defense stuff you can spray around the perimeter works well, but it takes a little bit, and I don't know. We'll see.
Well, hey, there it goes. Get yourself a George. Go find you a couple of Georges, turn them
Well,
loose in there.
I mean, that seems kind of unfortunate because the same thing that deals with the crickets is going to deal with George's cousins up here. So
What's that? The
winter.
poison? Oh, the winter. Oh, you had me. I was like, what? Y'all got like? I didn't know if maybe you had like wild,
I,
like
I, I
some
don't
kind
keep
of
it.
big anacondas or something.
I don't keep it that warm up
Oh,
here.
yeah. Well, hello everybody. Yeah, somebody said they glad they got in here early to catch the intro. Guys, I was just having some fun. All of the talk about AI and everything, and it was pretty cool. Steve and I, it's we don't have an announcer to like announce this, so I felt like using technology, maybe we could accomplish that. So that was fun playing around with it. Uh, I have no Jim's asking how long they live indoors. I have around here not long because I used that home defense spray that Steve was talking about out here in the shack, but it don't work on spiders. I hear
90
him.
days.
Did you Google that?
Yep.
Uh, Steve, setting up YRC video. What YRC? What's the YRC? I'm missing something. That's an acronym I should know probably.
The isn't that the Ortour Rotary?
Okay, maybe. I don't have one of those, so I don't know if they call it the YRC. But Mark, it was. I just went on there and found a free AI generator, and then it wanted me to like subscribe and all this kind of stuff. But luckily, I got around all that and was able to get my text. So I don't remember which one it was. I just Googled it, and it was one of the better ones that came up that you didn't have to put it to music. But
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff out there with AI right now, and a lot of
yeah, I
people are
wanted it.
very concerned about it. But
Well, I don't. As long as it's not like walking around or taking over things, I'm okay. Start walking around. That's a little creepy.
not a far leap from that. But yeah, you can have Chat GPT to you just tell it, hey, I need to fill out an annual review for my employee doing this, that, and the other thing, and it'll spit out all the stuff for you.
Yeah, I've got some friends that are using it to create things for websites and stuff, but I haven't played around with it a whole lot. That was the first time I'd even experimented with it. Uh, Banner said it started at 7:30. What banner?
Did you set the timing wrong?
Did
Huh?
I? Apparently, I did set the time wrong. Well, how did that happen? It won't let me mess with it either. I see what he's talking about now. Well, at least everybody knew to be here at 7, guys. I do make mistakes. Apparently, it's got like a little thing you have to scroll. Apparently, Steve didn't catch it because I sent it to him too. So, but yeah, we don't have big scorpions here, guys. But we do have the little black ones. They're usually the biggest one. I think the biggest one I've seen was probably about 2 inches from like with this tail curled over his back. He was probably 2 inches from front to back. Usually they're a little small. Like usually you can't even really tell what they are. But you got at least 2, Steve. You've got at least 2 because I think they're doing like a duet right now.
Yeah. Well,
That's awesome. I'm sorry.
I,
I'm not trying to have pleasure from your
I, I
misfortune.
can always
But
just do this.
no, I'm used to it. I'm just not used to hearing you as crickets in the background. But let's see.
It's just that
Yep.
late summer ambiance.
Yeah. Hey, we'll just call it rustic. All right. Laser losing power. Liz is clean. Really, the only thing I would say would possibly be if even though it's clean, if it has some type of like really really minute crack in it that could be causing some kind of refraction or something. I know they have the factory ones a lot of times come with a coating on there, and that coating may be trying to come off. What do you think, Steve? Any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, you'd want to double check, make sure that it's nice and clear. There's nothing interfering with it. But the other thing too is if you haven't cleaned out the inside of your module, it could be overheating. The more dust and gunk that gets on the internals in there are going to cause them to heat up more, and then they're going to lose some efficiency. So, might be time to kind of pop the cover carefully. Kind of pull the fan and try to make sure you get any of the extra dust and debris that's on the inside of the module out. That could be having an effect on it.
What? Not sure what a BMO is. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Hmm.
How do I change my roster to vector on a BMO? Not sure what a BMO is there, Mike. Oh, might have to search that, or I think Steve already is. I hear keys getting
Yeah.
pressed.
Okay. So is this like the BMO's a brand? Looks like they have a few different lasers out there. Is there a specific software that it comes with
I
or
was gonna say
uses?
if they're using Lightburn, then yeah, that's fairly easy. Import and trace.
Yeah, if you've got a little more information about which, because I'm seeing like they've got looks like a 30-watt CO2. They might have a little kind of like a laser pecker type device as well.
Yeah. What's up, Brent? How are you going there? You switching printer, ordering the Anchor Make M5C? I've seen some reviews on that. I think it's a pretty good printer from what I've read. Haven't you? You've talked about that one before too, haven't you, Steve?
One of my guys at work has the Anchormake M5, and he really likes it. It's faster. The bed leveling works pretty well. It's got some of that AI in there with the camera stuff as well. So it's definitely less expensive than a Bamboo Labs, but maybe missing a few of the features you get from that one. But
Yeah. Uh, ETLC, and I'm gonna try to remember to talk about the questions, guys, because some folks brought it to my attention that people actually do watch this as a podcast and don't get to read. So ET wants to know, when should I use current position and user origin instead of absolute coordinates? You want to take that one first?
um, well, on most of the modern ones that have homing and limit switches, I work in absolute coordinates most of the time. Um, when I first got my X-Tool D1 and it didn't have limit switches, I got kind of tired of having to either use a jig or whatnot, so I would just work off of current position a lot then. But most of the time that I would use it is when doing like a tumbler. I'll manually move the laser to kind of the center point of the object that I'm engraving, and then I'll make sure that my origin for the engraving is set up there as well. But I personally try to almost always use absolute coordinates unless unless it's on a rotary. Other than that, I can't think of too many times I'd want to do it. Maybe if I was doing a custom engraving on something and wanted to kind of manually move the laser just to dead center of the object, I might. But even then, I'd probably use a jig and some framing to get it done. How about you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, tumblers, of course, because that way, what I do is I use the little lines on the tumbler, or maybe like some of the landscape when it has a lot of them have the little bottlenecks. I use that to align with and move the laser to the center of it, get everything aligned perfectly, and then go from there. So tumblers, I think that's you're always going to want to work with current position in tumblers. The only other times that I've ran into is when I've been doing like a box or something that has a recess. Like I've done a couple of these. I don't know if y'all have probably seen these acacia board. It's like a bowl with handles. My wife would tell me what it was. It holds the Pyrex pans or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? That you set them down in. Anyway, it had a recess, and with that, in order to be able to focus to the bottom of it, I couldn't come from home over because it would have smacked the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I had to do was basically I went in, marked the center really lightly, and then used current position. That way, at no time during that engrave did it try to exit the flat area that's in the middle, because if it had, it would have hit it, crashed into it, caused all kinds of problems. That's generally the only time. Occasionally, if I've got something that's going to be a nightmare to frame, because a lot of times I'll do, let's say like a deer mount for somebody. I'll have like a cookie that's cut out of a piece of wood that's cedar, and it's kind of oblong, and it has extrusions going everywhere. In a situation like that where framing is going to be a nightmare, I'll just kind of mark where I want the engrave to be in the center, and then line it the way I want, and then send it from there. So those are probably the only two times. But any other time, I'm running absolutes. I saw that comment. I'm gonna have to get to that here in just a second. Oh, there he goes, right there, and that's a simple fix. If you're getting lines, Brandon, first of all, with tumblers, typically I'll run at least 200 DPI or LPI, however you want to look at it. Uh, but if you're getting lines, you're either, in my opinion, you're either not hot enough or too hot, and it's a very very tight margin of error between the two, especially with some of the lighter colors that are highly reflective. What's your what's your take on that?
Well, I would actually even go up to 300 DPI depending on the laser, if it's got a finer focus point. But then maybe even just slightly defocus it a bit, because yeah, like you said, you can get too hot, but if you have that beam kind of just defocused a little bit, it's going to have just a little fuzzy overlap a bit, but it shouldn't be quite as focused and burning so hot that it might put lines in the stainless. So, but
Yeah, yeah. And if you start getting too hot, you'll definitely see it, because it'll start putting those gray lines rather than the
yeah.
color of whatever the tumbler is supposed to be. Uh, by the time it's walking around, hmm. By the time, I'm not sure about that comp. That one. But yeah, let's see if I can find something else here. I guess that's directed at you, because I don't do sports ever.
Let's hope
So,
not.
what's the chances of Aaron Rodgers going to the Vikings?
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I don't really get into that. So, uh, yeah, North Alabama says give it about a month, you won't have to worry about the crickets. Let's see what else I've got here.
Sharon's asking about can you open up the actual fan on the X-Tool D1 Pro? It's really sticky, and even though you clean it off, and yes, you can. You can pop the cover off. You just want to be very careful with the wires. People have pulled those out and either pulled them off the plug or snapped the wires. So you can pop it loose, and in some cases you can kind of work with it still plugged in. And then I would just take like if you've got some Q-tips or something, get them in some alcohol and really kind of scrub down those fan blades. But then while it's out, then you can also hopefully blow some air through the whole module just to loosen up anything else that's might be coating the electronics on the inside. So
Yeah, and while you got it apart, some of those fans can get really yucky depending on the sap or whatever kind of glues or whatever. You may have to bring in some mild uh, component safe cleaner. And if you do, I would recommend isopropyl alcohol and maybe like a Q-tip or whatever to clean that fan with. Because you do, when you get that buildup, that crust buildup on those fan blades, it does kind of diminish the effectiveness of the fan. And if it gets a little lopsided, a little weight, more weight on this side than it does the other, it could eventually have some issues with the way the fan runs and make it noisy. But just if you do clean it with alcohol, use rubbing alcohol and let it stand, let it sit for a while before you power it back on, just as a precaution in case any of it gets inside the motor. But try to avoid rinsing anything into the actual motor on the fan if you can. But if you do, at least maybe it'll be alcohol and it'll evaporate and it won't be a problem. Mark was saying he had an intermittent problem with his X tool. Looks like it's basically shifting a step or two when the fan cuts off and on, which is weird. Never heard about that. So there's the question. Any ideas? Have you ever had that problem with any of yours? I can't say that I have.
No, I haven't noticed that. Um, the head will bump a step in the y direction. Yeah, no, that does seem very odd that the fan turning on or off is going to cause your steppers to jog a little bit. So
Almost sounds like it's back feeding through the ground wire on a stepper or something, causing it to shudder a little. I can't think of any other reason that would do that.
Ed's asking, oh, you got
Uh-oh.
this one?
I was gonna say I clicked one same time you did. I heard it.
Yeah. Oh,
Mark said he got his Sculpt Fun Cam 500 installed and calibrated. When the laptop went to sleep the first time, the camera stopped working. Reselect the camera in the camera control window, and Lightburn crashed. Sounds like, first of all, you need to do away with the sleep function on that computer because that's going to cause you some problems with other stuff too. I'm thinking a good solid reboot and a check for updates should fix it. I don't think that's going to cause any long term problems. Probably what happened was either the camera got hung up and Lightburn was trying to access the camera and couldn't, or I mean, you could have had a driver corrupt, but I wouldn't think so. Not on a camera. That's a pretty simple device. What do you think, Steve?
yeah. I would definitely disable some of the sleep modes on that for a laser controller. It's not only going to cause this issues, but some job issues too. Um, if Lightburn crashed when you reselected the camera, yeah, I mean, most of those use a generic webcam driver, so it's not really something you install or anything on there. So, um, but yeah, generally, I mean, I've seen that even with some of our streaming software, with cameras active and something tries to take it over or whatnot, and you almost have to reboot everything, reconnect everything to get it to work right. But Lightburn crashing
Yes.
with the camera control is a little concerning, I guess.
Well, and it may have been another. It could just the computer may have been in low power mode or on eco mode or something, and it just
Hmm.
caused the system crash. Several things. What was the one that you had? I've got somebody asking. Bill's asking about replacement lenses too.
So
Bill, Steve's the go-to guy for me with my P20 and my V35. I haven't had to put one in the V35 yet, but the P20 did use a few of Steve's lenses. They work now scientifically. Are there better lenses out there? Possibly, but I use the ones that Steve sells, and they work fine for me for the price and availability. That's if I need more lenses, that's where I'm gonna get them from. So there's that, and it's on his Etsy shop. So
yeah, appreciate that. Um, so Ed's asking, is there any cheap alternatives for a honeycomb cut bed? And yeah, there are. Really, all you're trying to do is elevate your work, have some airflow underneath. So depending on the design, and if you're okay with parts dropping out, you can even just use a couple of um, just spacers that span your wood. People have used those kind of baking cooling racks as long as you can get one that's fairly level. That's fairly inexpensive. When I first got my X tool and I was trying to figure out honeycomb, waiting on that, I actually sourced it's a fireplace screen mesh, and that is wound in like a 1/4 inch spiral, so it's very level when you stretch it out, and that provided some airflow and some minimal contact. Other people will make like a pin bed where they put a bunch of screws up from the bottom and make sure they're all level, and you can set things on there. It's really just about elevating your work and having as minimal contact with the material, so you don't get any flashbacks and scoring on there. So that being said, there's some fairly inexpensive honeycombs out there, depending on the size you want. But if you're looking in that 400 by 400 or 500 by 500 millimeter range, there are some that are, if you get them at the right time, like $40 to $60. My biggest thing is make sure you're getting one that's made out of steel. The aluminum ones are work, but they're going to wear out. They're not going to take to pins very well. They're definitely not going to be magnetic for using rare earth magnets and such. So really, it's all just about getting your material elevated so that there's airflow underneath and keeping it level. So there's a number of options to kind of get going without investing in a full-on honeycomb.
Yeah, Brent's asking 3D filament PLA. Where do you store it? So far, I haven't had any problems. Just the roll that's on the machine is on the machine. Now the rest of it, I've got it kind of. I've still got it sealed up. I don't have a big moisture problem inside the house. That's one reason why it's in the house, because it relatively stays relatively dry in there, and it'll be more so this winter than what it is now. They do make, I guess you could call it dehumidifiers or dryers for PLA and for filament that you can buy, and they're not terribly expensive. I don't know how well they work. I haven't got one yet, but as long as it's inside a climate controlled area, I wouldn't see to where it would be. I wouldn't see it would be too bad. Now in here, like right now, I'm at 42% humidity because it's summer, but I still don't think that would be terrible. That 42% humidity, that should have my wood and everything down around 8 or 10% relative humidity, moisture content. So I, I haven't had any problems so far. Now you could always, like I said, I guess you could always, find you a way of putting it in there. Like my daughter's got a dehydrator. I guess I could stick rolls of PLA in it and run it for a little while. But I haven't had any issues. So I really don't know what to tell you on that one. What about you, Steve? You're moist up there in the around the lakes.
Um, I've I haven't had too many problems, and at the most, what I do is I kind of stick my rolls of filament in like a tote, and I might throw in some of those desiccant bags at a times. But honestly, it unless it's a really bad roll of PLA, I haven't had too much issue with it. Sometimes a little bit will get kind of brittle or not feed through, but yeah, you don't really need to overthink it too much. You can get like the gallon bags, and they should hopefully fit in there and seal it off a bit. You can definitely get those filament dryers. I have never used one. I can't tell you how much they work or not, but like I say, you can go pretty cheap. Just get some of those stay dry, those desiccant bags. Put them in like a sealed tote as best you can, and kind of roll with it. I mean, the nice thing is PLA is not too terribly expensive, and generally when I put a roll on the printer, it gets used up fairly quickly because everybody's printing random things. So if I've got a really old roll, I kind of just chalk it up to time to get a new one sometimes. But
Well, you brought up an interesting thing, Steve, and I have one of these that I use, not necessarily for the same purpose as what we're discussing, but I have a moisture brick, basically is what it is. It's made by a manufacturer called Hornady, and it's made for a different application, but it's the same basic principle. It absorbs moisture, and it's supposed to keep things from getting moist. And the cool thing about this one is it's metal, it's steel, and it changes color when it absorbs the moisture. So if you look at it and if it's purple, I think it's purple when it's either way. Once it absorbs moisture, it changes color. You take it, put it in the oven for like 30 minutes at 250 degrees, and it basically releases the moisture, and then you can put it back and reuse it. So it's kind of like what you're talking about, the little silica packs or whatever, but it's reusable. And I dropped a link down there in the chat on my side. If you want to go check one of those out, that would probably be like what Steve said, get you a plastic tote, one of those guys, and chunk it in there. And I would think, I mean, it's made for keeping, steel objects from rusting. It should work for PLA, I would think. So, but I've got one I use. Actually, I've got two of them I use for another purpose. But Super Duty, I actually found, and I've got a video coming up about a penny. That's we had a little bit of a growth spurt there. But Super Duty, I actually have a video coming up. Super Duty's asking about the Luan that I use, and I'll show you what I found. And I'm working on a video, but I haven't got it done. I was cranking out some stove covers today, but I actually found basically the same stuff that I'm using. I found it at Lowe's, and I know a lot of you guys have a Lowe's near you. And the store that I usually get mine from here locally, I have no way of knowing what it's called or where it comes from, but I found this at Lowe's, and it's got a sticker on it that, if I can get it the right way, that tells you what it is. This is basically the same stuff. It feels, acts, and burns basically the same way as what I get. It wasn't quite as consistent as what I get, I don't think, but it's very, very similar. And then just for giggles, I also picked up some birch. That's right, it's birch. And it actually does a really good job. But this is also from Lowe's. What I'm trying to do is come up with a video and just kind of test some of this stuff out for you guys. Show you the settings and what I found as far as it working for me. And hopefully it'll save you guys a little trouble. And if you do want to try some of it, you can just find a Lowe's nearby and pick some up. So that's the plan. But that video's coming. I just haven't got it all completed yet.
Well, Lowe's is like a good hour away from me.
Well, but to answer your question, this has got a thick layer on the middle and then two like veneers on the outside. The stuff that I use is a little different, but it's basically the same thing. The stuff that I use is basically the same way. It's got a thick layer on the middle and then two veneers on the outside, which I believe is poplar. But anyway, that video will be hopefully coming sometime this week if I can get everything done. But had some things come up that's going to probably pull me away from that video. So Super Duty, let me see. I took pictures of the prices. I'm gonna put it all in the video as well. But while I was there, I took pictures of this price tag so I know what it was. The 1/4-inch birch, which was a 2x2 piece. I didn't buy a whole 4x8 sheet because I just wanted it for testing. Was $11.98, and the 2 foot by 4 foot 1/4-inch Luan hardwood was $12.98 for a 2 foot by 4 foot piece. And I took pictures of the price tags when I picked them up and threw them on my cart. I had to go pick up some stuff for stove covers, and I was like, everybody's always asking me what kind of material I use and where I get it, so I'm trying to find some stuff that's comparable or maybe even the same thing, and that way, I can share the settings with you and the results and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'll get that done this week.
So Jack was asking about trouble with Lightburn licenses. Lightburn just told him his was no longer valid. The only time I've heard of that is there were some licenses that were being offered as a bundle for the company, and they may have been temporary licenses where people weren't able to upgrade them or not. But generally, if you're getting it straight from Lightburn and you're using it with the diode lasers, you're getting the G-code license. You're paying $60 for the first year. That gets you 1 year of support. After 1 year, they will say, hey, do you want to pay for support? You don't have to, and you can continue using it on the current version, but you won't be able to get upgrades. Now, there is another thing where you're allowed to have it on 2 computers at a time, and you can disable and re-enable. However, I believe they have a limit on the number of times you can disable it and reinstall it on a new machine. So that would be kind of another scenario where it might come up that license failed. But hopefully, if it's a legit license that you got from Lightburn or from a official reseller that was supported by Lightburn, that they'll be able to help you get that sorted out, because you should be able to retain use of that indefinitely, at least until you stop paying support.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem. Mine did expire, but it was a year after I purchased it, so that was on me.
Well, and again, it's not the license that expires. That's something that people get really confused about.
Well, I couldn't get any more updates.
Right. but you can still use the current
Yeah.
version that you're at, and that's where people get confused. They think
Yeah.
they have to pay annually. If you're happy with the whatever version you're on at the end of that year, you don't have to pay them another dime. You can continue to use it indefinitely. It's just the number of times you can install and reinstall. They also have a limit to that. So I know a lot of people get confused. They think it's only for 1 year and they have to pay again. You don't have to, but I do because I find it worthwhile getting some of their new features and such. But no, it is a perpetual license. It's just you lose the ability to upgrade to newer versions and get updates after that first year. So
Yeah, if you're really frugal and you want to save money, you can do like I did. I had like 1.03 or whatever, and I didn't renew mine until they came out with 1.04, which gave me basically like 2 months of running on my old software before I had to buy it again. So,
well,
but when I went to upgrade, I had to purchase it.
and I think if you renew it before it expires, they actually give you a couple extra months as well. So it's
Yeah, which I had to turn right around after I renewed it and buy the Galvo version. So now I've got licenses on different renewal dates. So that's going to be a little confusing. John's asking, he's working on a bar of 3/4 inch plywood and wants suggestions on getting darkest images, DPI for the image, and suggestions on how to best square the machines to the workpiece. Well, if you're using one of my jigs, John, that's relatively easy. What I do when I do something like that, of course, I use one of my machines that I have a jig kit made for. But if you don't have one of my jig kits, then you can basically just take a couple of pieces of 1x4 or some type of material. If you can get it to where you can either use the what is it, the glue approach, the CA glue approach, and stick it on there. Make sure that those boards are square, and then you can push your machine up against those and do the same thing on the other side to kind of bind it there and keep it from moving. But if you use one of my jig kits, then you can do the CA glue with the painter's tape and tape that jig to the table. And once you put the feet in the jig kit, it won't allow it to move. That's what I do or did on a couple of big jobs that I've had. And I've got a couple of videos doing large items. One where we did somebody just made some money. One where we did a engrave on a countertop that was like 8 foot long, and the engrave was like 5 foot long, to where I had to basically do each section of that engrave, and make it look like one. So, but that would be my suggestions. As far as settings, just don't move the machine. That way, if you have to rerun it, you won't have shadowing. But 3/4 inch plywood, probably about the same as you would use to engrave on regular wood, I would imagine, unless it's finished.
well, that was my one concern there. He's saying finished 3/4 inch ply, and some of those finishes can be a real bear. And I guess I'd want to know what the finish is before I'm lasering through it, as long as it's not like an epoxy finish or something. But
Yeah, well, I didn't know if he meant like when he says finished, if he meant like you can get one side finished and the other,
yeah,
what do they call that, 1S1 or whatever, one side sanded. But yeah, settings is a whole other creature. Mike's saying that you can use a refrigerator with a light bulb. That's what they use for storing welding rods. I actually saw some people that do wood turning use those to dry their wood for wood turning as well. So that's not a bad idea, especially if it's a little mini fridge like that doesn't work anymore.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of different ideas. Go through the comments if you're looking for ways to keep your PLA dry, because everybody uses something different, but it looks like everybody's having good results with what they're doing. There's one. Josh is asking, I've been trying to engrave a sheet of aluminum using Cermark, but whenever I wash it off, it all washes off. There is no design. He said he's tested almost every speed possible. Never used it on aluminum.
Yeah, I've tried it on brass and kind of similar. It doesn't like to adhere to that as much. I haven't tried it on aluminum. He did say later he was also using a D1 Pro 20 watt. I can't give you any advice on that one. Generally with aluminum, I stick to the anodized stuff and burn that off, or get yourself a IR module, and you can actually etch the stuff. But that would be an interesting thing to try. Like I said, I tried brass once. It just didn't want to etch to that, and that could be just not enough power. The diodes, Cermark was actually developed for CO2 stuff, and so they're generally working with a little bit higher power, but it does work with stainless steel on most diodes. So
I hope
those are
y'all
some
can see
lovely-
that. I
not
hope y'all
really.
can see that. It's hard to, like I said, I'll have a video out in the next few days, guys, and I'm going to make sure that I either look this stuff up and link it, or have some really good pictures with my other camera of the labels for you. So don't freak out. Just give me a few days, and I'll get the video out. Everybody's asking for the SKUs and everything. So let's see. I'm trying to catch caught up, man. I'm so far behind on comments.
So Ed's asking about a Niji Max 4 with a stepper motor on the Z-axis. Can Lightburn move the laser up and down like CNC software doing 3D?
Like that one?
Well, it Lightburn won't by default. No, it's not going to generate the G code to necessarily do a more than a per layer move. So that's where you're getting into some of the things like with the X Tools CO2 laser. They've kind of got their own software that does that, so that it can kind of follow a curved surface and such. And I've heard others have played around with it. So it's not built into Lightburn yet that we're aware of, but they're also developing their CNC router software, allegedly coming out here maybe late October, or at least some more information about it then. And from there, it wouldn't be necessarily a far step to integrate that somehow. But then there's the programming. It is a whole other thing. Is how you would line that up with whatever your piece is. So
Yeah, you can do it. I guess I misunderstood, but you can do it, but you have to set it in each layer. It will move during the job. It will automatically adjust. Like cutting, especially, you just have to do like a layer and a sub layer and another sub layer, and you have to walk the focus down as you're cutting. But
right, but it's not going to be adaptive and be
yeah,
like
but it's not gonna.
moving
It's
on a curve.
Yeah, it's not
going
gonna
to
be.
it's going to move at the start of the layer, go
Yeah.
around, and then adjust from there. So
Yeah, it's not gonna be doing any arcs or anything.
yeah.
So, but it does have a Z-axis. I was a little shocked with that. I'll try to catch up here. If your question gets missed, feel free to plug it back in there. Maybe one of us will see it again eventually.
David's adding air assist to the JTEC 7 watt on his X carb, wondering about a PSI for shop air. It's going to depend a bit on the nozzle and whatnot, but I would say a good rule of thumb to at least start would be 20-ish. And then kind of if you're seeing it's not being effective, you can bump it up, or if it's blowing things around too much and causing too much pressure at the nozzle, maybe back it off.
Yeah, I typically stay 10 and below on the regulator. Now, there's a lot of variables depending on the size of the hose, size of the fittings. But the best way that I have found to do it is set up a cut or a series of cuts, and while it's cutting, just kind of adjust it with the regulator until you get a really fine, clean appearance, and then just leave it alone. And that's your go-to. I kind of tune each new machine. The V35, I had to retune my regulator because the air assist didn't really require as much air pressure for the V35 as I did for the P20, which is strange, but for whatever reason, I had to retune it because it wasn't giving me as fine of a line as I'd liked. And Mike Hammers want to know if you can laser engrave a cow horn. I can't speak for cow horns, Mike, but I can say that you can engrave deer antler, basically wood settings. When I did the deer antler, I did it with the X Tool D1, I think, and engrave my logo on that set of deer antlers that's hanging over there on the wall. And I use basically wood settings. It worked. Got me a decent engrave. So, how about
Use
you, Steve?
use use a really good exhaust for that because it will not smell good at all.
Yeah, there is that. It's like it's like leather almost, maybe even worse than leather.
Yeah,
Don't do it in your
yeah,
kitchen. Don't do it in your house.
no,
Your wife
no.
will not love you. Da, 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 da. That's a long one. Uh, yeah. If it's warping, you're gonna need to slow it down.
Speed it up.
Stay. I mean, I speed it up. Yeah, my bad. I'm trying to read and talk, but yeah. Still, that's a big problem, and I see these videos, and me and Steve have talked about this. You see these videos of these manufacturers; they're showing you how they can get color and all this, and you can, but you're going to have to make sure that the material is thick enough to be able to handle that heat without warping. And that's a big problem that I've had trying to replicate some of these colorful things that people do on stainless. And I think you've had similar results, haven't you, Steve?
Yeah, yep, yeah. It's definitely easier to get something a little bit thicker. That heat's going to dissipate more, and you're going to actually have a wider. Uh, yeah, there you go. You're going to have
That's
a
what you get.
wider range of power to get your colors because it's all about heating it up, and that's what's causing the marking on there. You're kind of annealing it at different temperatures and such. So the thinner it is, the faster you're going to hit and blast through that temperature range you're trying to get. So um, I would recommend getting as thick as you can, and for the thinner stuff, yeah, you're definitely going to have to go uh, bump your speed up and hope you can still hit. I mean, if you're just going for a color, you could probably find something that works. If you're going for specific colors, that's tricky,
Yes,
especially with the thinner stuff.
even with the fiber, it's hard to nail a specific color. Now you can get color, but like you said, it's going to be basically a spin of the rainbow. You don't know what you're going to land on. This is a typo, so disregard the last part of that. I'm assuming they mean air assist, and I have not. I have never used an airbrush pump for air assist. Have you?
I mean, that's not much different than some of the real basic air pumps that are coming with some of the lasers. The Comgrow and the X201, they're okay. They work, but yeah, they're not necessarily that much more than them. What you want to do is kind of look at the volume of air it's moving. I think the X201's around 25 liters per minute, and a lot of places will say you want 20 to 30. Um, Again, there's a lot of variables there as far as the type of hose you have running from your pump to the module, and then depending on if you watched the longer video, having way too big of a nozzle on there also just allows all that pressure to dissipate, and so um, when you tighten it down with a appropriate size, it doesn't take as much airflow to get that airstream going. So it is possible, but you're going to kind of want to try to take a look at how much air it's actually moving.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm trying to get it to grow. I'm trying to get it to grow evenly, but it just ain't happening. I figure once it gets long enough to where I can like hold it out here and trim it, then I'll be able to make sure it's the same length. But right now, it's kind of hard. This is a technical question, Scooby. It's not all about the color of the glasses. It's about what wavelength light they block, and that's kind of technical. But generally speaking, if you're looking for fiber glasses, generally speaking, they will have a green or green tint to them. But don't think just because they're green glasses that they're going to be stopping the fiber. Steve can explain that to you because he's got a pair of orange glasses, but they're orange, but they're rated for various wavelengths, which makes them safe for multiple machines. So always look for that rating rather than the color. Don't you agree there, Steve?
Yeah, you really want to try to find that rating on there, and the various laser manufacturers. So like the Laser Pecker, they've got an orange shield around their kind of combo laser, and then Xtool has a green one. Um, there's no necessarily they don't really give you a rating on that. The color does have an impact on the various wavelengths because physics and how different colors absorb different colors of light. When you get into the IR, though, it's more of the actual properties of the material so much as the color. But um, I when it comes to the shields that come with these, so like over here, we've got the Xtool F1. Um, it's great that they have this here and it encloses everything. So this would be great for like at a trade show and such. But I would still, if you're using this in your shop day to day, I would still, wear your wear the appropriate glasses for it. Obviously, people walking up to your booth aren't going to be able to put a pair of glasses on, so you kind of want to keep that in mind if you're demonstrating it or doing things live. Is try to not have that in a way that they can easily accidentally look at your laser light. So, but yeah, it's not so much about the color; it's about the properties of the material that's going to provide the proper wavelength protection.
Yep. Yeah, Chris Chris is saying he saw where somebody on the Lasermatic change the frequency to get rid of warping. And yeah, with the fibers, you can actually change a lot about the characteristics of the burn by changing the frequency. But unfortunately, when it comes to the diodes, you're kind of stuck at that point. So it's not gonna that's not really an option. But yeah, people have told me with the fibers that you can adjust focus and you can do all these different things. But to be honest with you, I haven't been able to recreate a specific color with any consistency, and so I just quit on it. That's what I got color markers over there for. If I get a needing color, I mean it's just too much. It's too hit or miss. Oh, look at there, Steve. You got a little attaboy. Ordered replacement lenses from you. Said he enjoyed your Niji review.
Well,
Crickets and all.
appreciate it on both fronts there, Bill. Yeah, just I got the Niji 3 Max V2. That's got the E80 module. That's their 20-watt module. Put that together and been working with it for the past couple weeks, and dropped that video yesterday. And I, it's definitely not the easiest laser to put together because you do have to take more considerations about how you're mounting like the e-stop and the relay. There's no power button on it, but it's very flexible in that you can do a lot of tinkering with it. And the biggest thing I love is, right now I think it's $699, 20-watt laser, and you have 30. I think it's 31 point something width and 18 and a half depth. That's a lot of working area for the money. So yeah, I'm liking on it. It's really growing on me. I'm probably going to put it in an enclosure and put it to work on more things. So if you
Yeah.
haven't watched the video, hey, go check it out for at least a little bit and give it a like and help it out because I want people to see it.
Yeah. And just like the guys are saying, when you buy these glasses, guys, I don't know if you can see it, but right up here, a lot of times they're going to engrave or etch the ratings on those glasses. It's like some of the guys said, if it's not engraved on there, you know, buyer beware. But these are the free mascots. These are what I use for the fiber, and these are the ones I got for the diode, which is a little cumbersome. Steve has a pair that are very similar, but yours are rated for fiber, diode, and pretty much anything in between, aren't they?
Uh they're rated for, yeah, they cover the UV and the IR wavelength, but not the CO2. So they do hit those.
Oh, let's don't even talk about my CO2 glasses. They're ridiculous. Um, That's an enclosure, but it's 2,000. Good night. Com Marker's making a enclosure. I didn't know about that. Uh, Scooby said he saw the Com Marker B4 has an enclosure, but it's $2,000.
Um,
I haven't
Well,
seen that.
the one I'm seeing is $488.
No. Now the machine is about $2,000.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, you haven't had the TTS 20 yet, have you, Steve?
Nope.
Daniel said he's liking it, and it turns out it's quite a bit more powerful than the other 20 watt. I told you. I told you guys. It was surprising. When I first saw it, I was underwhelmed. But in my video, like I said, it surprised me. A friend of mine that lives back that way from here, she does laser engraving, sells cutting boards at events and stuff like that. She's got that machine and is using it. And I talked to her the other day at an event, and she is loving it. Still doing her a good job. So that's a decent machine, and the price, with the Pro or the Plus or whatever they call it, where you get the air assist and the honeycomb, that's a pretty good bargain for a decent 20-watt machine. If you don't want all the bells and whistles, it's bare bones, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, I'm liking a lot of the machines that don't necessarily have too many of the bells and whistles. There's certain ones I like. The Auto Air is definitely one of them. But the motorized Z, it depends. I've had some
Yeah.
frustrations with it. It can slow down your focusing and such. So yeah, they're not always progress is not always helpful.
Yeah. Well, during the live the other night that I did where I was using the ASMR, at some point during that live, the auto air went out on it. Now, I'm using a relay as opposed to the pump that come with the machine. But I reached out to ASMR, let them know what happened, and they're working with me to troubleshoot it. I did take it apart and check the controller that controls the air assist, and it looks like it had a heat failure, which could be because I run these machines for 5-6 hours at a time. But they're going to work with me to get that back going. But other than that, it's still going good. But I've got my latest beast, which is this guy over here. And you just finished doing the Niji 3. Well, that's the Niji 4 Max. Uh, a neighbor called me and was like, "Hey, we've got a box down here with your name on it." Apparently, UPS dropped it off like about 2 miles from my house, at one of my neighbor's house. And luckily, they were honest, and one of them was my cousin, and he said that he was going to be there for me to come by and pick it up. So I went and picked it up, and so the Niji will be getting put together hopefully in the next few days, and we'll be trying it out. I've had the Niji 3 before, and it was a good machine, and like you pointed out, it's kind of a task-built machine for those that want a really large work area. But I'm hoping that this guy lives up to my expectations of the previous 10-watt Niji 3 that I had. So,
Yeah, I think you'll like the 20-watt module on that one. I've been pretty happy with it.
well, this one's got the Z-axis. I'm gonna have to see how well that works. But we'll see once we get it set up there. Well, hello, Hobo. Hobo has showed up. How are you there today, sir? Rodriguez or Rodrigo? What's your question? Drop it in. As long as we don't overlook it, we'll answer it. If we overlook it, just keep spamming us until we see it.
Well, he's dropped in there. He's got a long array 510-watt and is looking for some advice.
Yeah, what do you need on the? That's a decent machine. I think you've had one too, haven't you?
No, I just had the
B1.
what is it? The longer B1.
Yeah. Well, I had the longer 5. It's at the school now, but it's a good machine. You're if I'm not mistaken, I think that one doesn't have the limit switches, and it's pretty much everything's from current position. Power and speed, that's actually a hot little 10-watt if it's anything like the one that I had. Speed tests are your friend. If you don't have light burn, I strongly recommend you get light burn. And whatever the material is, just go ahead and sacrifice some material, do a speed test. Because if you don't do speed and power tests, you're either maybe taking too long or you may be overburning your burns. So power test, and power test. I test everything.
Yeah, if you're trying to figure out power and speed for cutting, definitely Lightburn has the material test tool in there that you can set up both your power and speed grid. I've got a video on it. You can definitely search for that. should hopefully help you get that set up. Otherwise, there are other people that offer files you can download that's kind of a pre-built speed grid for that. So you kind of want to run that, see is it cutting through cleanly, or is it not cutting at all, and then you can kind of adjust your speeds up or down, and then you'll kind of hit that point where you can get the range where you should have successful cuts. But yeah, something that you're going to want to do on any material you start working with and any new material you get.
Yeah, anytime you swap materials, go ahead and do it, and you can cut those things out and keep them. I've got them all around. For the fiber, I've actually got blanks that I keep with the power settings on them, and also you can use the library in Lightburn once you dial those settings in to save those settings, so you can go back and consult with them later if you need to. That's a pretty handy thing that they've added to Lightburn that I had not been using until recently, but it is nice once you dial those things in to be able to use that library.
And there's also other places. So our friend Rich over at Louisiana Hobby Guy, he's got a nice forums there, and he himself has curated a number of libraries for various machines, and so you can go check that out and see if that your laser's there or one that's very similar to get some good feedback and a whole library of materials that you can start from. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got saved power speed test, power speed, frequency, power speed. Yeah, that's a very very valuable tool in Lightburn. Question of the day, Steve. Question of the day, sir. How are you liking the X Tool F1 fiber laser?
well, I've been playing a bit more with it, and I'm fairly impressed with this. So a little preview here, if I can get this in there. So this is an aluminum card that I ran with the IR on here, and I ran it at a pretty high DPI, and I probably can't get it in there, but it actually has the watermark of this photo showing up in the chin of that front stormtrooper and such. But this is about the highest quality of this image I've been able to engrave on any laser. Now, it did take about 11 minutes to do it at this resolution, so not slow, but not fast per se.
Yeah.
But then just a simple vector, my logo on here, this took about 50 seconds, and it's very clean. It's very crisp. There's not any extra marking on there. So liking that. And then I was playing around with some photo stuff. Let's see here. This is on some Baltic birch, using the regular blue, the UV laser on there. And I'd have to look to see the time it took on this one, but this is about 4 inches square, so using up most of it. I think it was maybe a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes to maybe burn this one. And so just still kind of feeling my way through it. I did actually also, so this is some 3mm random craft plywood, but it was able to engrave and cut in the same job. And I am playing with the X-Tool Creative Space for this. This does support Lightburn, but apparently there's some of the features like the framing aren't as good, and also you have to remember to manually switch it over to the IR every time you run a job. It doesn't kind of remember that. So there's some gotchas with working with Lightburn on this one, but
Yeah, it looks like you might need to adjust your air assist too, there, Steve.
well, there's no air assist on there, so but yeah, it's I'm impressed with what it can do so far. I want to kind of get a feel for the speeds. Obviously, it's not going to perform as fast as like the 20-watt comm marker as far as the IR laser. It is a 10-watt diode laser, so a lot of the engraving, the speeds are really fast and the point is much tighter. But you are limited with this setup without their conveyor to, I think it's 115 millimeters square. But the idea that, this, even though I can't tell you 100% what this plastic is rated at, if you're looking for something to be able to customize small things on the fly at a at a job fair or something, not job fair, but a farmer's market kind of thing or a craft fair. This at least does a pretty good job of protecting the errant light beams and such. And then they do have, well, let me just grab it quick. This is the other part of it that I'm going to be testing is they have a air purifier. It's about the same size, a little bit deeper, a little bit wider, and it does have these cartridges in here that are. It has like a pre-filter, and then it has the big kind of carbon activated 3-stage filter. Now,
Yeah.
I've heard good things about this, but I don't know how long it's going to last per filter.
Yeah. Well, with
So-
the size of the machine and the size of that filter, you would think it would last for a little while because you're not going to. It's not like you're going to be doing any 3-4 hour burns in there.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, I think the anodized aluminum stuff is kind of the wheelhouse for that thing. I don't think you're going to be marking any aluminum or anything with it anytime soon. But for events, that definitely the small form factor, the speed, and the ability to mark wood or anodized aluminum and stuff, at relative speeds. I think that's kind of where that machine would land as far as if I had access to one. I think it would be more of an event machine.
Well,
like
the
you
other
said.
thing I want to play with is hooking this up to my portable battery device and see how long you could run it on that as well to truly make a true portable unit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be interesting. I've got the Minnesota Woodworkers Expo coming up in October on the 14th. So this is going to be something that's more likely I'm going to be able to run because that is an indoor event. It is in a bigger kind of industrial-ish space. But obviously they're not going to want me to smoke people out. And I did run this without that air purifier on it and did do a couple of engravings on wood. And, this is a 24 by 30 shop. And I was still noticing smoke. So we'll see how it
Yeah.
does with the purifier.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, if they, we'd be more. I'm sure I speak for Steve as well. We'd be more than happy to try one out for them if they were to ask. I actually do have a few machines that are potentially coming. Of course, y'all saw that guy, the Niji 4Max. I've got that back there. I've got to get it put together, and I have a few more possibly coming. I'm supposed to be getting a Monport fiber, but I don't know if that thing's on a slow boat or what the deal is with it. But I haven't heard anything back from that. But the fiber laser world is definitely a little more expensive to get into, to say the least. But the stuff that you can do is pretty cool. I actually did serialize a build for a friend of mine the other day, or actually, I guess you could say he did it, but we did it together. And it was able to complete the engrave to an acceptable, means. Now it took a little while because it's only a 20 watt. It's not a 100 watt like some of y'all guys have got, Jack. But it did get the job done after a few minutes. I think that's a question. Best I can tell.
Sculpt Front S30. You've got the 5 watt. I don't know if there's a 20 watt head. So I actually have the S35 watt and the 20 watt. I have to look to see if there's a difference on the gantry as far as if they upgraded the. I don't think they changed the extrusion at all. So the question would really be if your controller can support the 20 watt versus the 5 watt. But honestly, they are very similar, possibly the same machine between the two. So I would think that if you could source the 20 watt head, you'd be able to put it on that machine as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of them use the same power supply, so that shouldn't be an issue. I know which Sculpt Fun, you've got the S30 standard, right? And I've got the S30 Ultra.
Yeah, so I've got the S30, which is the 5 watt, and then the S30 Pro Max, which is the 20 watt. You've got the S30 Ultra, which is the 600 by 600 and a 20 watt.
Oh yeah, it's big. It's like
Yeah,
24 inches square on the inside of the extrusions. Uh, but I don't have the 5 watt to compare it to, but it looks a lot like the other ones.
yeah. I'll try to take a look at those and try to check the power supplies and see if there's anything different. And I don't know. Not going to happen during the live because I got to take that's
I was
down in
just
the
like,
basement right now. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I want to say they're similar, but there may be a power supply difference, and I don't know if there's a board difference. But I think the frames are initially the same.
yeah. Mark, I will say this. Mark is saying that X2 Creative Space. Oh, it's too early for that. Mark's saying that he did find that Xtool Creative Space can sometimes read DXF files that are screwed up when importing to Lightburn. Can then save as DXF and read OK in Lightburn. Going to try with SVGs. Creative Space, from my experience through my Etsy shop, through other people, Creative Space does not like SVGs that need to be a certain size. I've had a lot of people complain about they bought my files and they're trying to burn it and nothing lines up, nothing fits. And then you talk to them and they're importing it as an SVG. And even with Lightburn, if you import, I don't see as many complaints about it in Lightburn, but like with my files, instead of importing, open, because when you open it, it constrains it to that size. Seems to be a little better than it does when you import. Import to me just leaves a little more extra room for error. But I do know that SVGs going into XCS is not the way to go. If it's a size specific file that you're not going to want to resize, because people have complained to me that the legs were way too small and didn't fit and all that. Then when you find out what it is they've imported it as an SVG, and that's what led to the problem. Use
Yeah,
DXF.
I'm generally not a big fan of SVGs for that reason. But an interesting thing I noticed just this afternoon when I was playing around with my logo and I was going to set up a business card file. As a matter of fact, I did finally get it, but I exported it because I had set it up. This is it. I had set it up in Lightburn for the com marker, and so I exported it first as a DXF. And when it imported it into Creative Space, it had done something real funky with all the fonts and all the letters and everything. It looked just all warped, messed up. But when I exported it from Lightburn as an SVG and imported it, it actually held the size and everything looked fine. So I don't know. That one was weird to me because normally DXF works better for me, but in this instance SVG, it was spot on size and everything was didn't look warped. So
Yeah. Well, like I said, everybody that's complained to me that we wound up, they opened
I
imported
gotta
the
stop that,
DXF.
man.
I can't help it, man. I don't know what is going on. I need to get me a bottle of water. But they imported the DXF and it fixed the problem. So I don't know that that's every import, but I do know that it has happened and been reported to me on several occasions. Got to get me a bottle of water. Hang on.
Yeah, I like it when the program allows you to specify the the import units. So like if you have DXF, you tell it I'm working in millimeters or inches or whatnot, and then it tends to translate better. But that's just my experience on it.
All right, before anybody asks, it's Walmart water. Everybody's always accusing me. I can't help it, Jack. I don't know why I'm so tired. It's been a long day. I have been cranking out stove covers. I made 7 stove covers today and 1 countertop for I guess you would say a table. Basically, it's almost like a bathroom little sink type thing, but it's going to be used to set a printer on that I had to make a top for it. I did that. Did 7 of them between yesterday and this morning. So,
Well, I can show what I was working on today.
Oop, wrong button.
Yeah. What are you doing
What
there?
was you working on? Catching crickets?
Yeah. Well, while I was catching crickets, my Genmitsu CNC machine was carving out this nice eagle. This is out of about a 5.5 inch block of wood. It's just some poplar from Menards actually, and then so did a roughing pass with an 1/8 inch bit, then did the finishing pass with a 16th ball nose, and then did the profile cut then again with the 1/8 inch down cut end mill, and then you can have it be flush, but I had it give it about 1/3 of an inch thickness on bottom just so that it wasn't so thin. Did a little sanding and add some walnut oil to kind of give it some coloration. So that
Yeah.
was this. I want to say, let's see, the roughing pass was about half hour. The finishing pass was about an hour and a half, and then about 10 minutes to do the profile cutout on it. So did take a little bit of time, but did come out pretty nice.
Yeah, that's that Jinmitsu that you've got that I want to go with my other two, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, yours should be able to do this.
Yeah,
So
it should. The especially, I mean, the one I got the router on is a lot faster, but even the little small one, I've been finding it does, especially small stuff. It does a good job, and the spindle that's on it's really quiet. So I don't. It's kind of nice to have it running in the background.
yeah, I do want to upgrade the spindle on this one. It's got that 65 millimeter mount, and I'm going to be putting on either a Makita or Bauer or something with a 65 millimeter sleeve, or we'll
Yeah,
see. I don't know that I'll go full spindle on that one. I mean, I do have one for my Infinity that I need to get going, but the nice thing there is if you go with the right spindle, it's going to stay a little quieter. Those routers tend to be a little bit louder.
yeah. Norbert, I think I'm gonna hold on to it for now. It currently is the biggest machine that I've got in the shop until I get the Niji put together. But I like having a big portable machine around to in case somebody brings me a table or, like I've had some folks ask me about coming into fire departments and stuff like that and putting logos in the tables. And I like having these big machines that are highly portable to be able to do stuff like that with. So I try to keep at least one of those bigger machines around. And right now the S30 Ultra has got the camera bolted to the frame of it and everything, and it's pretty awesome, especially with that camera on there. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah,
but if it wasn't for that, I would.
the funny thing, speaking of the Niji, technically this one has got a wider working area than my big CO2 laser.
Yeah,
That one tops out at 27 inches, whereas this one's, like I said, it's like 30, I think 31.1 or something like that. It's
yeah,
not
I could.
quite as deep, but I never used the depth of my CO2. It was always the width that I wanted, more.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I heard you when you said that in the video, and I was like, Steve's loving that. He's actually got a wide machine, and it's just like with right now. I mean, I don't think this one's going to be. This one's at 750. I think is the widest axis on this machine that I just got in the Niji,
yeah,
which is what the Acer is. So as far as length, it's not really going to give me a whole lot of added workspace. But as far as the width, this one is significantly wider than the Acer.
now if I could get I mean, I'd probably want it to be 37, but 36-inch wide by 24 inches deep. I think that'd be perfect for me for what I would like in a laser.
With the right extrusions, I think you could make this guy do that. You might have to add some cabling to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't found the air assist relay on this one yet though. I'm assuming it comes with it since it's got Z, but we'll see. Yeah, Jack, I've used Inkscape. I even on the CNC, I like to design in Lightburn because that's just what I'm used to. But I've actually gotten to where I'm doing more in other softwares. I'm trying to figure out how to do it in Fusion 360 like I do for my 3D printing, but setting up the machine in Fusion has been a bit overwhelming for me. Ooh, jeez. All right. Everybody's got quiet, so comments, concerns, all that good stuff, guys. But if you hadn't already, Laser Engraving Community page on Facebook. Also, hit that subscribe button for me and Steve. Uh, YouTube, Facebook, whole 9 yards, guys. I'm trying to build my Facebook page up. It's kind of pathetic right now. So, uh, yeah, I've seen the videos about the Shapeco 5 Pro, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Steve's about sold me on the one he has, but now I've really got my eye on the what do they call the Woodworker Elite 4 foot by 4 foot. That's I think that's where I'm going to end up landing is the Woodworker Elite, but I gotta do something with this back here where I got room for it. Right now I don't have any room.
Yeah, yours would be a little bit deeper than mine. I've got the Woodworker X50, and so it's a little over. It's like 49 inches wide for cutting, and then 30 deep, which is quite a bit of working area. It would be nice to be able to fit half a sheet of plywood on at a time. I mean, if I had the space, it'd be great to be able to fit a full sheet of plywood on at a time. But then you better be doing some cabinetry stuff and really keeping that machine busy.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give up that much space in the shop. 4 foot by 4 foot seems like a good size for what I'm wanting to do. I'm trying to get myself out ahead of some of the smaller CNCs like these guys for jobs, and I've got a few designs that I've worked up in my head that I want to be able to basically take a sheet of plywood, lay it on there, and cut the whole thing out instead of just having to do a piece, then reload, do a piece, reload, do a piece. I just think that would be better.
Well, and you know, modest sized furniture. There's well, you were talking about your tiered shelf thing, and I had shared a photo of that one. That one that I built is about 32 inches tall, and at the time I wasn't able to cut that out on mine without doing it diagonal. But yeah, you could easily lay out the parts for that. You know, even in hardwood for the one I made, but definitely the one you made, you could batch those out. You know.
Yeah, see this little guy right here. What I like about it is I created a CNC file in Fusion 360, and or no, I did it in Lightburn, and then I transferred it over to software for easel. And all it is the triangle, and then I go ahead and throw the cuts for the little, for the shelves to go in on there. I can put two of these on a piece of scrap material that's left over from my stove covers and let the CNC be cutting them out while I'm working on stove covers. And then when I get done, I've got me a little cheat sheet where I know how wide to cut these guys, and I just rip this down to whatever length I want it. It doesn't matter. It could be 12, it could be 6, it could be 20. And then I rip them on the table saw. And this is all from scraps from my stove covers. And I generate a pile of this stuff. So
Nice.
I was trying to figure out, because I pay $25 a panel for those panels, and I make a stove cover with it. Well, I've got a piece of wood. Hang on, I'll show you one. About fell. So this is what I've got left over once I make a stove cover. This piece of wood. It's just scrap basically. And so I was trying to find something that I could use these for. So I take them, put them on the table saw, rip them in half, and I can cut two of the ends on the CNC, and then take another one and rip it up into the shelves. So it's pretty handy. But I generated, I've got like 20 of those things piled up over there, and I've got a stack of those things 3 foot tall out there in the kiln, staying dry from making these stove covers. So I was just basically trying to take materials that I already had and fix something I could make a profit on. So that's what I'm doing. The 4x4 Phantom, I don't know what the 4x4 Phantom is. I might need to look into that. It's probably too expensive. But yeah, Brian, I like the recesses in there, and it's a lot easier to let the CNC do it while it's cutting it out than it is to try to set the table saw up and run those dados, because then I got to change my blade out, and it's just the CNC can make those while I'm doing other things. I can be working on the laser, I can be over here painting a sign for somebody's baby room or whatever, and the CNC is over there just chugging them out. So that's where I do pretty good. Is I'll have 2 or 3 lasers going. I'll have cutting boards. I'll have signs. Then I'll have those being made, and I'll be over here doing something else. And so I get a lot done in a 24 hours or 12-hour period. Yeah, Yeah, Mark, I'm the same way. Floor space is a premium here at the shack. But I'm going to do this wall over here. As soon as I can get a little money saved up, I want to buy me a toolbox and clean that wall off. I want to roll around toolbox so I can put all my hand tools in and clean that wall over there off and build me another kind of like I got over here, but build it over there. And hopefully, when I do that, I can mount my chop saw and my table saw and stuff like that into a workable situation, so I can get them out of the middle of the room.
Yeah, I've been well. Part of the cricket hunt today was cleaning out the shop a little bit. I've got a space where I'm going to try to build as big of a laser bench as possible out here, that then I'll also be able to tap into my air exhaust or that I've got hooked up to the CO2 right now. But yeah, I'm trying not to overthink it, but I want a surface that's going to be able to hopefully hold 2 lasers, and then also have some storage underneath for materials, maybe storage for a couple of spare lasers, and then a couple drawers for some of the tools and things you want. So I got to spend some time in CAD to get it get it all kind of sorted out in my head and on drawing that way, and we'll go from there.
Sounds like you're fixing to build yourself a Clack Shack command center.
Well, I gotta get rid of some unused bikes first. So
Yeah. Da, 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 da. There you go. I'll let you answer this one. I got to walk over here for a minute. I'll be right back.
So fill versus offset fill, it's kind of two things. You might be going for the look of an offset fill. Regular fill is just going to kind of go, up and down or side to side, however you have that your angle set up, where offset's going to kind of circle in from the outside in, and you might like that look. It might actually be a little bit faster. And I think we're hearing myself. Hold on. Let's kick him out of there so he doesn't get that. Yeah, he's going to have to reconnect his headphones. So some of it is playing around with the fill settings to get a faster job. And so that's more along the lines of playing with your, grouping fill all at once or fill groups. You can also play with the flood fill as an option. But I would definitely look at just playing around with the fill and your color settings first, and then maybe try jumping between fill by group, fill by individual object, or fill all to see how your timing goes. And you can use the preview function in Lightburn to kind of get an idea how those are going to have an effect.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you started making me echo.
Yeah, my headset disconnected. My bad. My bad. I had to walk outside for a second. Oh, second. Vac table for your long meal. See, Jack, you just got too many toys over there. He's bragging about having a long meal now. He's fixing to build a vacuum table. Jack's got it made. One of these days, I'm just gonna like crash Jack's shop. I'm just gonna show up. I don't know where you live at yet, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I had a vacuum table on my Open Builds Ox or Rhino. I forget which one it was, but it worked out pretty well for doing the plywood sheets and doing my model airplane stands. I just have to resurface that a little more often than not because I'd end up digging into it sometimes. But they are very nice, but the more you cut out, if your vacuum system isn't quite up to snuff, you risk getting it, maybe a little bit loose. But they are nice.
There you go. There's your question about lenses.
So yeah, you've tested the size on your V35? They're the same as the P20.
I haven't tested the V35 yet, but
Okay.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's the same lens.
I mean,
Look.
most of these are using a very similar brass end cap, and then it's got
Yeah.
it's usually about a 12.5 to a 14 millimeter diameter cover lens in there, and it's about 1 millimeter thick. And so I've got some that they're about 1 millimeter thick. They're just clear glass, and they're 12.5 millimeters. I sell them in an 8-pack with a couple of O-rings that help hold them down as well, and then a little 3D printed tool. So I can't verify that they work on every laser, and on occasion I've had some people get some very weird brass end caps that for some reason they don't fit, but generally they do. So,
Yeah, now I did have to. They are actually a little smaller than the ones that comes in the P20, but it's not enough. In my
yeah,
opinion, it's not enough to where it can fall. You know what I mean?
yeah, no,
I
they
do
are.
use the little small, the thin O ring that you send. I do use it to kind of make sure that it doesn't wiggle around or
Yep,
vibrate or anything.
yeah, that's just it makes it easier to, that gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but yeah, you want to make sure that they're held in firmly in place. That's why, a lot of the original ones had like a brass nut that would get screwed in there. Um, then they started gluing them in and such. But the O-rings, there's a couple different thicknesses depending on the laser module you have. You put that in there, it just kind of firmly holds it in place in the end of that brass end cap as you throw it on. So, but yeah, the 14 millimeter, those are a real snug fit. So, that's why they're a little bit smaller. But yeah, I'll drop the link in. That's in yours. I'll drop it over on my channel as well. Just if people are interested in them, they're there. And like Clack said earlier, there's nothing special about them. They're clear glass, and they're there just to protect your main focus lens. So they are a consumable. They do get damaged over time, and that's why it's nice to have some spares on hand too. You want to keep
Yeah.
them clean, but when they get etched, you replace it and you get on with your day. So
Yeah, like I said, I've went through a few, but now I've had some problems with the air, my water in my air getting to my machines because somebody forgets to drain the water collectors here at the enclosures. Since then, I've had to be a little short piece of hose, and I've gotten pretty good about remembering to do it. But I've used three of your lenses, and I think I've had to send two of them to Klein, so it's about time for me to reorder. But Klein, bless his heart, when he first got the Atom stack with the Comgrow 20-watt head on it, I had never had to replace that lens. I'd been using it for over a year. He had it a month and went through two, and I'm like, dude, something's going on at your place. You got to fix this.
yeah,
But what it was is he wasn't cleaning it properly, and I made him sit and watch hours of video on how to properly clean your laser head, and then it fixed the problem. He hasn't been back since then.
that's good.
Yeah, he was cleaning the outside, not the lens. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to do anything, clean the lens and not the outside. I mean, but clean the lens. So, yeah, Scooby. I mean, I'm biased because I only have one fiber, and I've only ever had one fiber. But I've had good luck with it. Nothing has broken. Nothing has messed up. Everything works like it should. I really wish they would incorporate that finishing sound that the fiber makes on the computer. I wish they would add that to Lightburn for the diodes because it is really nice with that thing. And I've been here doing other stuff. But with the fiber, it's kind of quick, so I don't usually walk off. But I would love to see that feature added for the diodes. It would even be cool if you could add like your own like wave file or something. So it'd be like I could be like, your engrave is done when it got finished or something. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what you put on there.
Yep. It'd be my little alien dude. Al would be telling me, sir, your engrave has completed. But yeah, so far so good. I do plan on, and people keep asking me about 3D printing videos. I do plan on doing one. My Sonic pad was supposed to be here. It said it was going to be here today, which I thought was odd because it was a Sunday, but Amazon just coincidentally updated my delivery to like Tuesday. So hopefully my Sonic pad will be here pretty soon. I'm going to speed that guy up just a little bit and add a camera to it where I can get some cool videos.
Yeah, I have a shipment coming via UPS from California. Originally, when the label was made, it was supposed to come Friday, but then it got updated to Monday, and then I got an alert from UPS saying due to weather, it'll be Tuesday.
Y'all have some weather up there?
Not up here. I don't know. Somewhere between here and California, there's apparently some weather that's slowing down the truck. So,
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Hobo, I've been doing like physical product So I have turned out 7 of these guys in the past 2 days. And all I like right now, I've got 5 more. I've got to put the felt feet on and the handles on. And I'll be ready to send out invoices. And I also made, Brandy took them in the house to wash them. But I've also, you will be happy to know, Steve, you've seen the door over there, right? Where I write down all my orders.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one stove cover on there. One. From 13 a couple of weeks ago to 1. And cutting boards, got all of them done. Had to reorder some more cutting boards. But I've got a couple of sign orders in that I got to get worked on. I'm going to try to do a video with these because these aren't like any like secret burns for anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, or whatever. So I'm going to try to make a video out of them similar to the one I did for Holly. Holly over at Simply Lake and Lace shared my thing that I made for her. And in doing so, she has caused a lot of people to message me wanting me to make them one. So I gotta do that. But that's good. That's what keeps the lights paid, the light bill paid. I'll show you the thing if I can get it. If I can get it downloaded, I'll show you the picture right quick. Oh, what in the world did I just do? Woo! Screen blacked out for a second there. But yeah. Add source. It's not gonna do a picture. Okay, we'll just do it this way. Hang on. Let me open that picture on my screen here. But yeah, that's the sign I made for her. So I've got 2 more ordered that look a lot like those, and I'll be getting them done pretty soon, hopefully. So that'll be another video. But other than that, and the big green meanie back there that I got to put together, which I'm looking forward to. Steve's got me all pumped up about that new module. I haven't tried the E80 out yet. You don't have to take that over. Now, Chris, Clyde's actually getting his own jobs right now. He was telling me he's been staying pretty busy on his own. That's why I haven't heard from him lately. Yeah, Brian, blame it on YouTubers. I watched a bunch of videos where everybody was telling me how much faster I could print if I had a Sonic pad. And either these guys are saving me some time or they're just getting a really good sale. I don't know which. But I'm going to bite and I'm going to try it because it makes sense after watching, how the software interacts with the machine. So I'm going to try it and see what it does. See how it works out. All right, questions, comments, concerns, or, cricket raising advice from Steve? Anybody? I'm telling you should open up a bait shop over there. It sounds like you got them going.
You think they're bad in here? You go outside. Plenty of them.
Yeah. Well, has anybody got anything going on? Anything we need to be looking for? I know Jack's been doing some crazy work up there. He, like I said, he was making fun of my little fiber machine here a while back. It's kind of like Steve. Steve tells me my CNCs are cute because they're so small. But hey, it's a CNC. That's all I can tell you. And I got the one. I actually moved it to the other side of the room over there. But Brian, Brian, don't ask that. Brandy's probably watching and she's gonna comment. But yeah, she's not crazy about it, guys. She's threatened to cut it in my sleep. The beard. She's threatened to cut the beard in my sleep. Yeah, that's what I thought when she first said I'm gonna cut it in your sleep. I was like, what's she finna cut? But she's threatened to get the scissors, and when I wake up in the morning I won't have it. But hopefully she won't. Yeah, Super Duty. I saw where you I think it was you that posted some pictures the other day of some signs you were working on. But yeah, that's it's cool stuff. I enjoy it, guys. I mean, that's everybody's always said when you enjoy what you do, you're not working, and that's kind of the way I feel about the lasers and CNCs and all that. It's really not work to me. Uh, Now that 40 hour a week thing, that's work, but a couple more years, hopefully I won't have to worry about that
That'll be nice.
one. Chris said he gets that threat too. His wife's going to take the hedge clippers to him in his sleep, trim his beard. I'm trying to get it longer, guys. I've never been able to grow it. I mean, like by being able to grow it, not I don't mean people wouldn't let me. I mean, I just it wouldn't grow. So now that it will, I'm trying to grow it a little bit. I mean, almost 50 years old. It's about time it grew. We don't seem to TOG. What? Did I miss part of that? Mm, I missed part of your comment there, Doug. I don't know if it was on up there somewhere. We overlooked you or what. Just keep raising your hand because this done got quiet now. Christmas
Apparently,
movies.
apparently, Hobo and Jack are neighbors, so
Oh, are they
hang
now?
out with them.
Well, heck, I come up there and crash both of them's shop then. One of these days, I done told my wife one of these days when it's not snowing and it's above 30 degrees below zero, I'm gonna come up there to Missouri and I'm gonna take over your shop. Just like come in there,
You're gonna
make
come
some
up to
stuff.
Missouri.
Yeah, or Minnesota. My bad.
I was gonna say, I mean, you can stop in Missouri, but I don't know what you're gonna do there.
Yeah. Yeah. That wouldn't be good. See, I used to have to keep it trimmed for multiple reasons, but back in my days of wearing a gas mask a lot, I couldn't grow it then because the day that you didn't shave would be the day that they're like, hey, we got this guy barricaded in the house and we got to go get him, and they pump 26 pounds of CS gas into the house, and you make it into like the second or third room when you realize that that gas mask did not properly seal around your face, then you start huffing that stuff, and nothing is more irritating than going into a house with some barricaded lunatic with a gun, and your eyes are just watering off your face, and you got snot filling up your gas mask, and you have to rip that thing off your face and just power through some CS gas. That is not fun. So I used to have to keep it smooth, and I used to have to keep a little bit of lotion in the truck or some uh, uh, Vaseline to kind of wipe it down just to make sure I got a good seal. But now I don't have to worry about wearing gas mask anymore. Yeah, Jack said they're 10 minutes apart. Moving to Tennessee. That's good country up there. That's where I like to go vacationing. My wife didn't like to go to the beach. I got enough sand here. I don't like going to the beach.
Yeah, I'm not so much a tropics ocean
Yeah, I don't.
person
Did I
either.
put the? Yeah, I've got the jig kit. I don't know if I've released it. I'm probably behind. I probably need to be working on that. I have one, but I don't know that I put it in the shop yet. I need to go through there. I've got somebody messaged me the other day and they're like, "Hey, did you make us a jig kit for this?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And I got to looking. I had it. It was on my computer, but I had never uploaded it. Uh, I thought I did the ASMR though. Let me look. I don't guess I did. I have it. I'll try to get it on there in the next little while. But I do have a kit for the ASMR P2. It is actually on my ASMR P2 as we speak, the Galactical Edition. That's right. Uh, but I'll have to get that packaged and test it a couple more times before I put it on Etsy. Da-da-da.
Brian, am I a lake guy? So I'm in southern Minnesota. We got a lot of agriculture here. The lakes are not pretty. So down here, no, I'm not. Get up into northern Minnesota, especially up in the Iron Range and North Shore area. Yeah, more of lakes and rivers up there. But no, as far as vacations, yeah, no, I'm more of mountains and bluffs, and so Tennessee Smoky Mountains would be something I'd enjoy much more than you know the beaches of California, Florida, or Hawaii. So
Yeah. Daniel's asking about paper transfer tape with the laser. This is the transfer tape that I use. It's like 12 inches, so it does limit you if you don't want to have a seam. But you can always use the blue tape. But I find that this stuff is a little more consistent and doesn't give me lines as bad as the blue tape. And I ordered this on Amazon, and I've had this roll for quite a while. It used to be a little larger, but you don't use as much of it as you would think, because I don't mask a whole lot of stuff unless I'm going to be backfilling with paint, and then I'll mask it with this. So it works pretty well. I think you use similar, don't you, Steve? If not the same stuff.
Yeah, I probably have the same roll. I mean, I've had a few different kinds. I mean, I also have the more vinyl style because I do have like a 24-inch vinyl cutter that, depending on what I'm doing, the various types are better for different applications. But for as far as laser, yeah, the paper type transfer tape, low tack, um, uh, and then like if you're using it as a paint masking, I usually will try to take like an old credit card or something and just kind of burnish it onto the material so it sticks really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and this new Niji 4, I found out, has a pen that comes with it in case I want to draw, which not sure I'll be using that. But it also has a cutter head, which I got thinking about it. I could actually mask my engrave, put the little cutter on there, cut the material, pull it off, and then engrave, and voila. So that's something I'm about to look into that. I'm anxious to put that thing together and see what it'll do. Uh, does anyone know Minnesota Lake? He says.
Does anyone in Minnesota go to Lake south of I-94? And generally, yes, they do. I don't. But yeah, Brian, yeah, Detroit Lakes. My great grandparents are actually settled in the Fergus Falls area, and so I'm very familiar with the Detroit Lakes area, and it's also that's kind of Glacier Lake area up there. It's really nice.
Scooby said he lives 45 minutes. I'm guessing he's saying from that lake that you're speaking of.
It's a city, Detroit.
DL? Oh, is it in Detroit?
But yeah, we should. I don't know. All these people in Minnesota will have to meet up sometime.
Yeah, y'all should have like a Minnesotan get together. We have one here in Alabama here recently, and I think actually a few people. There was one guy. The furthest guy that I met was from Houston, Texas, and I actually had two people that followed the channel. One drove from somewhere down in Florida. They were like 4 or 5 hours away, which I was shocked. I probably wouldn't drove 4 hours to see me, but they did, and I appreciate that. And then I had a few people, of course, some of my local guys from Birmingham. A lot of them showed up, but it was a fun event. So you should, but you got that Woodworkers Guild thing coming up, and that's
Yep.
right up there. That's right up there by all you guys. So y'all should just like get up and like, I don't know, eat lunch that day.
Well, I'm gonna be
You're gonna be
tied
busy.
to my booth, I guess. I don't know. Well,
You're gonna be busy.
I will and I won't. I mean, they have a lot of people doing various demonstrations, but also booths and such. And I'll have my friend Mike there to help out as well too. And so I'm hoping to get a chance to walk around because there's a lot of cool people that are up there. DeWalt and SawStop, Festool,
Oh.
Acme Tools, and all those are having some sort of presence. I'm not saying it's like they're big overall corporate, but Rockler's based here in the Twin Cities, so they're always there, usually giving away some things as well as woodcraft. So yeah, it's looking like a fun event. I still need to figure out what all I'm going to be able to do there, but I'm hoping to be able to do some laser demonstrations. I will definitely have some machines with me to talk to people and some examples of projects and such. And we'll see if I can pull together some swag or something to give away to people, and that maybe mention that they follow me or subscribe to me. But I'll put a link down there to the event. It's coming up October 14th in the Twin Cities, the southern Twin Cities area. It's in Shakopee, and it should be fun. I've gone to it the past few years when it was at a smaller venue, and now they've they've gotten more interest and more people. So um, there's a tool swap outside, and some demonstrations inside, and then a lot of vendors and makers in schools. So
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be a cool event. Now, I need to send you a couple of my business cards. You can drop those off at the DeWalt place and just tell them if they ever want to try out some equipment, they can send it over this way. That would be nice because I've got like a whole bunch of DeWalt stuff over there that I could definitely add some stuff to. All right, guys. So it's an hour 50 minutes. So I'm not gonna be able to keep you guys up much longer. I got to get into bed. Steve's got to get into bed. But any questions or anything like that, let us know. If you're not a member of the laser engraving community page, I'll try to, let's see if I can find that little link. I'll try to at least drop this up on the board here where you guys can see it. Go over to Facebook and check out that URL. And it's pretty easy, guys. If you go to Facebook and you type laser engraver community, it will, or a laser engraving community, it'll pull it up. Several of the other guys that are in here are a member of the group. It's good for showing off your work, just talking to like-minded folks that enjoy playing around with lasers and CNCs, as well as we do a little bit of troubleshooting. Myself, Steve, and then several of the guys that are in the channel that watch a lot of the videos, some of which probably know more about certain machines than we do, such as Jack with the fibers and the CNCs. I mean, there's a lot of guys that actually know more than we do. So feel free to drop your questions and stuff in there, and they'll help you out, or we'll try to help you out if we can. But it's a fun place. We try to keep it clean. We try to keep it family friendly, and we try to keep those bots out of there. I know me and Steve both had to pull a few weeds out of there every now and then because one sneaks in on us.
yeah, they do. So,
But go check that out. Go check that out, guys. It's like I said, it's pretty interesting stuff in there. A lot of you guys do some pretty wild creations. Some of the stuff that some of you guys do is way more than I want to spend the time to do. But it's amazing to see what you can do with a machine. Who was it the other day that they had the sleigh they had built, which was like crazy. I was like, man, that's an extensive build because he had cut the little legs out and everything.
yeah, I think that was Jerry because he used like a living hinge, so it was actually curved for the various areas. So, and he had the sides were double layered and everything. It looked great. Yeah, definitely. Definitely
way
cool
more.
seeing.
Way more work than I put into mine. Definitely way more work. But I just lost everything. I just lost my chat.
Wow.
Well, okay. It's about over with anyway. I'll just have to keep it over here. But I don't know why this restream does this. It like I closed the captions and my chat from the screen just disappeared. I don't know if you're still seeing it on your screen, but it disappeared from mine.
I'm seeing it on mine. So, anyway, yeah, we'll. I've got, like I said, I'm working on that F1 here, so I'll be hopefully getting the video out on that. And I do have some project things in mind that I want to get working on. I'll probably have a quick video on this little eagle as well to kind of share that as an idea. So, but we do pull ideas from that group or from this chat or from our own videos. So if there's something that you want to see or you think would be interesting, definitely drop those ideas down. One of us or both of us will try to add it to the list of things that we share out there. So
yeah. Like I said, I had people messaging me about that rug, and I know that was kind of an off-topic video, guys, but it was about the 5th or 6th person that had messaged me and was like, "Hey, how's the rug holding up?" So I did a video with it. It was quick, it was easy, but Hobo was 784, he said. So Hobo, welcome aboard, sir. But yeah, and if you don't know, like I said, Hobo, he does some videos too over there on his channel, Hobo with Wood. Him and Rich, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I don't forget the other guy's name. He uses a regular name, but anyway, there's 3 of them. They do a live show as well. Some pretty interesting stuff over there, also. But yeah, Patrick, that's it. Yeah, I knew it was. I should have thought about it because I was thinking about what was it? Under the Sea, SpongeBob, Patrick. I don't know. My mind works weird, but yeah, that's his name. But yeah, he's the one that's got the fibers and does a lot with. He got a really big fiber. It may even be bigger than the one Jack has. I don't know. I never really asked him what the power output is. Jack may not have the biggest fiber on the block over there, but anyway. So what's coming, Steve? Last 5 minutes. Anything else that you can disclose? I know there may be some stuff you can't disclose, but anything else in the pipe that you know that's coming?
Uh, well, no, I mean the X2 F1, and then I'll be playing with these air purifiers, so I'll be, probably putting some information out on that because I know a lot of people ask how well do they work and such. So definitely want to kind of give them a bit of a workout and see if they're viable for indoor use. I do have actually, so my friend Mike, who I mentioned is going to be with me at the show, he also has my A30 Atom Stack. Well, he purchased the extension rails, so he asked me if I'd put those on there. So I'll probably put that together, and I'll be able to compare that with, the Niji, and then eventually I'll be extending the IKEA laser as well. So, but yeah, I've been trying to hold off on some of the product stuff because I've got a lot of projects that I want to get to, both that are just video ideas, but also just projects that I need to get done for myself and others. So trying to get back into more fun projects, maybe some tutorials with it and such, to even things out and take my stress level down a little bit. It's always a little stressful getting these machines in and wanting to do a quality job on it, but also get it turned around in a timely manner for everybody. So
Yeah.
I feel and it's probably just more internally, I feel a little less pressure when I'm working on my own project ideas and such. So I'm going to be trying to get back to some of that, but who knows? Christmas season's coming up. Maybe there's some new products coming out, and you know how it goes. Some of these places say, hey, can you do this? And can you get it out really quick? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I know both of us been trying to cut back on that stuff, but it's like we've talked about. It's kind of tough to, I've limited myself to, if it's not something new or innovative or something that people keep asking me about, I'm trying to stay away from the reviews. But some of the stuff that's coming out right now, I've gotten some emails on. It's like, oh, that could be really cool. That could be really something that somebody could use. I do have leads on a couple of small form factor machines that I think will be decent for events that are kind of like an all-in-one, kind of like the F1 that you've got, that may or may not be going to show up. I have a couple of other machines that might be in the works, but I'm limiting it to things that I think the guys and girls that watch the channel would be interested in, and things that kind of pique my interest and are cool. And like I said, big work area, they'll get me if they send me one that's got a really big work area, just like this Niji over here. They're gonna get me to bite because I like the larger work areas for the machines. So, John, I see your question down there. The best bet, if there's probably a sawmill somewhere near you. You're just gonna have to get out and find them. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but there are sawmill groups on Facebook. You could just put something in Marketplace and say, "Hey, I'm looking for." So if you'll go to Facebook Marketplace, a lot of times guys that sell slabs and sell milled lumber are guys like us that don't have a big business, and so they'll have wood in there for sale. They'll be selling, cedar slabs or whatever. And if you see one of those guys, then just message them and say, "Hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have a price or whatever?" And you can probably get yourself a good deal because those guys are basically looking to make money to buy new blades and, buy fuel for their sawmill. That's what a lot of people message me. I got it. My buddy Tip's Hammer here in town. Tip lives in a subdivision, does not have a sawmill. He does have a CNC. He does have a laser, but he'll come over here and be like, "Hey man, I need a piece of wood for this." So, but go on Marketplace and look and see who's selling sawmilled lumber, and then just message them and be like, "Hey, I'm looking for this," and that would probably be the quickest easiest way to find them, because they're going to be hobbyists just like us. That's just a different genre.
Yeah, I would
So
say Facebook Marketplace. You'd be able to find some, but also do a search. Like here in Minnesota, there's a woodworking group, but there's a lumber, like a sawmill lumber. It's strictly a group for people to share that they have some material and they're selling it. So there might be one for your general area or your state. But if I would say if you just search on Facebook Marketplace for rough sawn lumber, live edge. I'm trying to think of the few terms I've used. You'll come up, yeah, slab, well, wood slabs. You'll come up with some, but just do your research as to the prices locally. Some people want a fortune for their stuff, and others are very reasonable. But also, you might want to ask, how they dry it. Yeah, do they actually test it with a moisture meter, things like that. So,
yeah, Brian said, or you could just run over to Steve's. He got a lot of it behind him. So,
yeah, I do have connections. Actually, the guy who I get some of this from directed someone to me today who's looking to get a laser. So he knew that I did a lot
cool.
with them, and so he's like, yeah, hey, reach out to this person, and they'll be able to help point you in the right direction, or maybe even be able to sell you one. So, yeah, it's good to make connections with those people because they, you help them, they help you. So.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that as it cools off, guys, I'll get to fire my meal up and maybe bring you guys along for a couple of days up there, since I've gotten a lot better camera equipment and editing software now that I've been doing this in here for a little while. I haven't been at the mill a lot, so I've got some wood that Klein brought back from some historic location somewhere, and he swears that they told him he could have the wood. And we're going to be milling that up for him to make some cutting boards and stuff with. I think that'll be a pretty interesting video for those of you that like, sawmilling and rough cut lumber and outdoor stuff. But anyway, I guess that's about it, unless anybody's got any last minute buzzer beaters that they need to throw at us. Because it is 2 hours and 1 minute, and I don't want you guys on overtime. We're trying to cut down on overtime hours. So.
Yep.
But that's about it, guys. I mean,
all right.
Okay, stay tuned for that. That's gonna be fun. Hey, look, we both got a green machine.
Yes.
See, I was gonna make some John Deere stickers to put on mine. That would be pretty good. Jack, they're doing good. I do have to pull some honey. I got a suit coming. I think the suit's supposed to be here tomorrow. I've got a honey extractor that is sitting right there with the plastic over it. I got to go pull some frames of honey. This is going to be the last chance to get honey before I have to lock them down for the winter time. But I'm going to go pull probably 4 frames from this hive, and I'm going to check in on these hives over here and see if I can't grab 3 or 4 from them. Enough to get me a jar or 2 of honey to maybe get me through the winter. And then we're going to spin it out using the extractor over there and put it in some jars. So that'll be a video too, because the folks that sent me that thing, brain feed, yeah, Vevor, and I bought one of their fans too. I bought me a 6-inch Vevor fan. I bought it, but it's working pretty well too. But that's about it, guys. Thank you, Brian. You're too kind. Yes, Brian, there will be a video. It's not going to be one of my most viewed videos because nobody watches the B videos much, but I enjoy it. The channel's all about my hobbies, and so you're just going to have to deal with it, I guess.
Maybe you just need to add more B-roll into your videos.
Wait. See, I knew somebody was going to do it. All right, guys, we appreciate you. Appreciate the support. And if you haven't, just hit those buttons. I know most of you guys have, but if you hadn't, hit those buttons. Spread the word. Great things are happening. And it won't be long, guys. There's going to be some more giveaways. I know some of you want to participate in the giveaway that I had at Pedals in the past. That didn't work out because it was a local event only. But as things come into the Clack Shack, I'm going to have to make room, and I have run out of places to put them. So we're going to see what we can do. But stay tuned, and we'll see y'all next week, I reckon. Lord willing.
Yeah, we'll have to do some Christmas giveaways or something this year. Have some fun. So.
Oh, that's a great idea. We could play like Dirty Santa or something.
Well, Well, I don't know about that.
Well, we could
idea
give Jack a laser, and then Jack could take Chris's. You know what I mean? They could steal it from each other.
That sounds like the only winner there is UPS and the Postal Service. But
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
sounds good.
All right, y'all guys, be safe.
Yeah, we'll see ya.